Hey guys, I want to welcome you back for another video, and it is time for the March Bust Your Stash challenge or project. And this month was Dawn's pick, and she said, let's use up a partial or a full 12 by 12 pad of paper. So the one I started with, I had almost the entire thing. I had 23 out of 24 sheets of paper, and I'll show you the paper pad I used in just a second. And then I also combined it for an additional stash busting with the remnants from June 2021 Love from Lizzie card making kit. I don't think the Love from Lizzie is still available, and I don't think the Michaels pad that I used, either of these things are still available. I know Love from Lizzie doesn't typically repeat. Very, very rarely will she repeat something that she's done prior. And I've never seen Michaels repeat, um, putting out the same pad every year. I don't ever recall seeing the same pads coming out every year. So you could try looking them up. Like I said, this was the June 2021 Love from Lizzie kit, and the pad that I used, why don't I just go ahead and show you now, was the Sparkleberry pad. It was a uh, specialty pad that they had on markdown. They had a big bin set up in the middle of the aisle, and everything was marked down. So I believe I got this for $5 at the time. I can't remember exactly when I got it. Um it's been in my craft room for a little while, so it's definitely an older pad. But I did finally get around to using it, and because it had the tropical theme, that's where I figured I would use the June 2021 kit from Love from Lizzie, because that was also tropical themed. And I think at that point I had only used like maybe half of it. I still had like half left. So I used the papers from Love from Lizzie and paired them with the Sparkleberry, and this is all I have left. And I could have turned these into cards, but I have another project that I want to do with this. So I just kept all the remnants. I did fish out a couple of the pieces that I could use to finish off some of the cards, but for the most part, I'm keeping all the scraps for another project. I'm not sure when I'll get to that one, but I will. I should have a video up whenever I get around to it, showing you what I did with the remnants. But this is it. This is what's left of a pretty much a full 12 by 12 in the remnants from the Love from Lizzie. I think from the Love from Lizzie, I had about half the paper left. I can't remember how many we started with. I want to say I had maybe 12 sheets, and I think I had 6 left. But again, don't quote me, especially not coming to the end of this project. It was so much fun, but it was absolutely huge. I think this is the biggest stash busting project I have done in quite a while. Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun, but that's why there was so much footage. So I'm trying to keep this fairly short for the recap. This actually is not part of it. Sorry, that's from another project that I'm working on. Because this year, seriously, it is so awesome for the stash busting. So if you have not jumped on our bandwagon yet, I highly encourage you to do so. It is tremendously satisfying to be using all this stuff up. I don't think I can say that enough. Everything that I have managed to accomplish so far has just been awesome. And I feel like I'm actually using stuff in my craft room. So if you haven't, definitely take part in this. You can do it on the side. It's not like we're saying, hey, put up a video or anything. Just go through your stuff, see what you got, dip into it, get it used up, because as we all know, despite our desire to hoard, we will always have access to more beautiful papers. So just a little side note on that one. But anyway, just to get back to the quick overview, um, I used up the majority of the embellishments that I could. I brought in all kinds of stuff. I used up a bunch of leftover bits from a Pink and Main C themed. I think it was the vitamin C kit that also came out in 2021, but I can't remember exactly on that one. Somewhere around there. if not 2021, then maybe 2022. But I used a ton of sequins. I brought in stuff from Dawn's. I believe these little clay embellishments. Where do I have them? You know, here we go. All right. I got most of the stuff still kind of sitting next to me here on the desk. And again, I'm going to try to go through this really quickly. Um, so she had little resin things that are like little tropical fruits or fruits. And then she had these little pineapples. I went through all the leftover bits that I have from prior card making kits of Dawn's, where I pulled these from, and the little pineapples were like perfect. And then I had a thing of a whole bunch of leftover sequins from the Love from Lizzie kits, including the tropical kit that I was using to stash bust. I just put them all in one of the little baggies and used a bunch of those as well. It doesn't look like it because I really did have quite a lot of the sequins, as you see. So that I wasn't really going to be able to stash bust all those. This is what I have left from the Love from Lizzie embellishments. There's a few rub-ons. There's one little um, die cut embellishment. I used the stamp set from the Love from Lizzie kit to make background, adding onto the background, or I used the toucan as a focal. I have this left. I had scrappy bits from another tropical paper pad that was from Michaels, and I had cut apart, so I used all of the ones I had. But this is some more of the leftovers. I wanted these to be a thank you card. So all of the cards that I did, except for a few, the Christmas and two of the bonus cards, are all thank you. And I just stamped them, cut them up, and then had them ready to go. I'm going to be using these. I already told Dawn. I hope she didn't mind, but it's such a great idea to include a personal handmade card, and I'm going to start doing that for the craft shows. So that's why all these thank you cards are going to be used in the fall. So I wasn't too particular on making, when I trimmed these down to fit the card and then I inked them up, I didn't worry that they were perfectly straight. I didn't let them be too bad, but because these are part of a thank you and not something that that a customer would be purchasing, I was a little bit looser on the straight edges on the thank you sentiment. But again, I'm going to try to keep this very quick so you get an idea of what I did. And then, like I said, I'll break up the footage into chunks, because it's just, I could not believe it when I went back and looked at all the video clips and I'm like, yeah, there's no way. So again, I hope this doesn't get me into trouble, but I am showing you what I did do. Um, so just a quick overview of some of the stuff that I used. I just brought in as much bits as I could, and then when I started running out of the tropical, then I dipped into my fake flower stash. So I did stash busted a little bit of this and a little bit of that and got the project done. So again, this is the Christmas card. I just kept it simple. Let me do this before I forget. So I did make my required Christmas card, and that video footage will probably come up first because that's the smallest chunk I have that'll be easy to edit and pop up. And because I'm showing you about it here, I'll probably just do that to music. There won't be a voiceover, and then I'll just have a few pictures on the end like I normally do. So that should be a pretty quick video. I think from start to finish, it probably only took me about 20 minutes, and that might be shortened a lot, with gaps of pulling in different pieces where I'm away from the desk. I try to edit that out so it runs smoothly, so you don't see long gaps where I'm looking for something that I want to use. But anyway, again, I don't want to get too much off topic. So that was the Christmas card. These were the two bonus. Once I got all the cards prepped with the background paper, I used up the bulk of the leftover bits from that Love from Lizzie kit and made these two quick cards. These are not thank you. I'll just rotate those into the stash for sale at the craft shows, unless I need to use them before then. So I just took in, like I said, these two frames, did a similar layout, and then decorated them according to whatever the paper, or, this was more basic, just to have fun using those up. So these were the two that are not thank you. These were the first two that I finished and set aside. For the rest of them, pretty much, the one thing that I can recommend, one side tip for you if you're new to crafting, especially card making, and if you're getting into selling or for whatever reason you need to do bulk card making, go in waves. I do my own card bases now. I cut them down, fold them, burnish them so they're ready to go. And I typically use only the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is the A2 size. So I go through and I cut down all the card bases, get them folded and ready to go. Then I go through and I cut down the background. Then I get it ready to go. Then I pair up the papers, get them on the cards, build up that background. Then in this case, to make sure that I didn't run out of room, that I didn't over decorate and not have a spot for the thank you, I put all the sentiments on first. So it was building the card bases, putting on the backgrounds, putting on the sentiment, and then I started decorating. And I didn't use as much of the Love from Lizzie peel offs as I normally do because I'm trying to push myself. So thank you, Dawn. This really was a good one because I really had to stretch what I would normally do. One, because a lot of the patterns were not something that would typically go together, especially since I was combining papers from two completely separate kits. And it was a lot of creativity getting them to work together so, they didn't look like a hot mess. So I used the Love from Lizzie peel offs where I felt I had to, or a lot of times you can use, if you cut a little bit off on your edge, you can use Love from Lizzie peel offs to disguise that and make the edge look straight. So I had to do that a few times. Because when you go through and you do all that chopping, you're going to have a few that cut slightly off. So that's primarily what I use the Love from Lizzie peel offs for. But I wanted to do something different and use different components. So that's why I kept my hands off of the Love from Lizzie, because usually I put them on everything and I love them. It wasn't that I suddenly don't want to use them. I'm trying to take advantage of this project and do something a little bit different. So I just kept a lot of them simple, using just basic, working, coordinating colors or complementary colors, doing a few embellishments, trying to give a wide range of cards because some people like them plainer, some people, I'm trying to teach myself to broaden how I decorate. So, huge variety, coming in with the peel offs, building up those layers, using, a little bit of the sequins just to add a little pop. Um, you know, Came in a few times with the glitter glue and the opalescent glitter in there. It's like clear with the opalescent glitter because I didn't want to do too much. I didn't want to add too many things. So when I started running out, like I said, I started bringing in my flowers and I used a ton of them. So then I started running out of colors and things that would work with the cards. And I started inking them. Some of the flowers I had to ink. So like this one, I inked it with pink. I only used a few colors. I used a blue, what was it? Peacock feathers, twisted citron, wild honey, worn lipstick, and then two colors. Those were distress oxide inks. And then the other two dye inks that I used were the Rich Cocoa and Cottage Ivy by Memento. And that's it. Those are the only 6 colors that I used anywhere on the cards for edging or whatever I was doing. So, in any case, I used the similar colors with the ink pads to make the flowers work together, if that makes sense. But I really, because I had so many cards, it really got to be a struggle at the end. So I had to get a little more creative than even normally. Um, but I'm really satisfied with the way that this went. There was a couple challenging ones, like this was kind of a difficult pattern to bring together. Um, there was a couple more. I don't want to dig through it because then I'll be here forever. But like this pattern would not typically go with this. This was two completely different color schemes, but I used the gold in the Love from Lizzie and the I colored this in, I think it's the peacock feathers. The colors look a little bit different when you put them onto the wood. It was like a plain wooden embellishment, this little pineapple. But in any case, this helped me bridge these two patterns together that typically would not go together, because I know they might have, you got green in this and green in there, but because there's such vastly different patterns, it doesn't always work. So I had to kind of come up with ways to make them look like they did, if that makes sense. When I got done with those two bonus cards out of the 12 by 12 and the Love from Lizzie papers, I got 90 cards out of that 12 by 12. Um, More if I'd have used the scraps. Then I did the two bonus, so that's 92. And then with the Christmas card, takes me up to a total of 93 for this stash busting project. And I still can't believe it. I'm looking at this basket going, oh my God. It was huge, but it was fun. I really, really enjoyed the challenge of making these things work, making them work together. So, like I said, dig through your stuff, one paper pad and look at all these cards now. So 92 cards in total from the actual papers, and then the 93 with that bonus Christmas card for March's Bust Your Stash Challenge. So again, thank you, Don. This was a really, really good idea. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And then, like I said, I will come in and show you when I get around to doing that project I want to do with the scraps from the, all the papers. Then I'll have a video for that. It's probably not going to be anywhere near as long. Well, if I do what I'm planning correctly, it shouldn't. But we'll see, I guess. We never really know what it's going to be until we're done. So all in all, an absolutely satisfying project. Very fun. I used up a lot of stuff that I am just shocked. So like the flowers, I probably will have to go through and get out my paper punches and start making more, because I did actually use a ton of fake flowers. And I thought about flipping through all the cards, but again, we would be here for like 5 hours. So I'm just going to content myself. You kind of get an idea. They all essentially look the same. I kept the layouts very simple. This is the only thing I think I didn't show you, was the embellishments that I made using a 3-inch paper punch, like a hand punch. That's the largest one I have, where I can punch circles by hand. Stamped it with the toucan from that Love from Lizzie kit, and I don't even remember how many that I punched out. But again, wanting to keep it simple, but it was also an embellishment that I could put together really quickly. And again, it helped bring a lot of the two different types of papers together. So just so you can see what I did there. And it just, yeah, this was huge. This was absolutely huge. So again, go through your stuff. I really cannot recommend it enough, because this paper pad probably sat here for way longer than it should. And now I am so happy to have finally used it. Um, it's just, it feels so good. It feels so good to be using this and to actually being able to get in, I should say, and I finally feel like I'm making a dent in all of this stuff. So, all right, like I said, if you haven't checked out Dawn's video yet, hers should be out. All the information will be linked in the description box below. And I'm going to go check it out, because I know she did something fabulous as well, because she always does, especially when it comes to using up the 12 by 12. Um, so I don't know what it is, so I'm not trying to be coy and hide it. We try to wait and surprise each other with what we do. So I don't know any more than you do. So it's going to be fun to go find out. So I'm heading over. Hopefully you do too. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Um, and if you have any questions, you can always put a question down in the comments, or you can always email me at bluejancreations69@gmail.com if you have any questions about what I did. But again, the process of what I did will be coming out in small chunks, sort of like a mini series. But I did not want to make, you suffer through that all in one super, super duper huge video. That just would have been sad. So, in the meantime, you guys take care, stay safe. Go check out Dawn's. I know darn well she did something amazing. And I will definitely meet you back here for the next video.